This week on The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
The one who told me that KANDI said that? You said that?
So now we know.
I regret how I left the group, but he who is without fault cast the first stone.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the new episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. That is season 16, episode 12. Let's get right into this recap. Okay, let's just go ahead and get started, you guys. So the episode starts with Kelli going over to Shamea's mansion, but I did think it was actually kind of interesting that they're referring to each other as best friend now. The only reason why I think that's a little interesting is only because people had been saying that Kelli wanted Porsha and Shamea to, kind of split up as besties so that she could be Shamea's bestie. Now, I'm not saying that's why she did it, but I just, the fact that people have been saying that and now they're calling each other besties, I just kind of caught on to that. So anyway, Kelli came over, great energy. She tells Shamea that she thinks it's time to have a girls trip. It's great to go on vacation. Let's go on vacation. So Kelli says that she really wants Shamea to help her host the trip. So it's going to be like both of their trip. So she tells Shamea also that this trip will be at a country in the Caribbean. And listen, I'm going to need the housewives to take a geography class because I remember Kenya thinking Portugal was in Spain. I remember Porsha thinking Miami was a state. And Shamea was naming all the countries in the world that were not in the Caribbean. I mean, she was naming countries that were in Asia, South America. So Kelli just had to tell her, we're going to Grenada. Grenada, that's super exciting. So they had a hurricane recently. So Shamea and Kelli decide that they should not just go and have a great time just vacationing, but also why not give back to the country? And Kelli gets on the phone with someone from Grenada so he can let them know what they can do to help. And honestly, props to Kelli and Shamea because that is so amazing to actually want to help a country. I think that speaks very highly of them. Kelli also tells Shamea that her divorce is in the final stages. She is just so drained emotionally, mentally, and financially too. So she definitely deserves this trip. And also props to Shamea because as Kelli is telling her story about this divorce, Shamea is just being super nice and super supportive. She's listening, she's there for her, and that's what a friend should do. So I like that. Moving along, Porsha, Miss Diane, and Lauren are looking at a new home since, Porsha needs a house. By the way, I gotta tell y'all, so over the weekend, I came across a video on TikTok from way back in the day of when Cordell was still married to Porsha, and he was telling Peter at the time that he had walked into his house, to his master bedroom, and caught Miss Diane sitting there eating a large pizza. I thought that was hilarious, but to be honest, it's very telling, okay? Also, I gotta say, I love Porsha, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't really feel bad for her and her divorce, because she's talking about it in this scene with her mom and sister, and I know it might be hard on her, and I get that, but I don't really feel bad for her. Is that bad for me to say? Let me know in the comments. So, Porsha tells her mom and sister about the trip that they're having, and Porsha also tells them that her and Shamea made up. They then show a brief scene. Kelli's getting massage and so is her dog, and then Shamea went to a radio station to promote her new song, and the host of the radio station asks her about her fellow reality show star Drew, who's also dropping a song, and Shamea was throwing shade about how other people are inauthentic, they're liars, obviously talking about Drew. And you know what, I'm not mad at Shamea. Drew likes to throw all her little shade about all the other ones, so she should be able to handle it. So then we see Britt and Mike. I forgot Britt was on the show. She hasn't really been present in some of the last few episodes, but she is going to be hosting a group event. She's doing a polo classic at the country club, and she says that she's launching something called Bare Naked. Okay, well, whatever that means. So yeah, that's what she said. Angela and Charles then go visit one of Angela's investments properties that is almost $500,000. That's what they're asking for it. Listen, no hate to Angela. I like her, but this house looks like a damn mess. Like, I need Nene to come over here like she did to Kenya and be like, ooh, the ghetto, not the white refrigerator. It's just something about the house that it's a big house and it's nice, but I don't know. It's just something about it that I find so unappealing, and I don't think I'm the only one, because she says that she's had to keep lowering the price a few times. So I don't know. This house is just like bad news for her. And I do feel bad though, because she said that she is $2 million in debt. That is so bad. Like 2 million. I mean, even if it was like 200,000, even that would be bad. Like, I can't imagine having $2 million in debt. I feel bad, and I hope that eventually she can recover. Anyway, she tells Charles about the conversation she had with her mom, about the fight that Charles and her mom had. It's pretty emotional for Angela, but she apologizes to him for not listening to what he had to say at the time. She kind of took her mom's side, which I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to do. Like, that is your mom. But she apologizes. As far as Britt's event, it is gonna be a couples event, so the Oakleys will be going, but they're gonna be sitting on ready in case anyone wants to pop off. Alright, so then the next day, it's time for Britt's event. The golf course was really nice, looked amazing. Now, her new line doesn't really have anything to do with the country club, but I mean, maybe she just likes the aesthetics, I don't know. When some of the women began to arrive, they were barely setting up some stuff for Britt's event. Britt, I think you should have probably gone there a few hours earlier, because how are the guests arriving and things are barely being set up? And it was like so unorganized, because Britt then takes Kelli and Shamea to go play golf, but then there's other guests that are arriving and Britt's not there. It was just a chaos. And the thing is, even some of Britt's guests didn't even know why they were really there or what the line she was launching was even about. So that's kind of embarrassing. So then she tells everybody to go inside to have brunch, and I could not believe this, y'all. Britt is fighting with the event planner because she was giving everybody food. And apparently, the menus and so everybody else was just going to get cocktails. The only people that were going to get food were certain people. Now, Britt, how do you have a party and aren't going to serve everybody? I don't know where she comes from, because where I come from, you got to have food for everybody. For everybody, they're plus ones, and hell, even some strangers that pop in. Like, we don't turn them down. I mean, a brunch without food? How dreadful. And then, as after they ate, she has gifts of her new line, but she only gives it to certain people as well. So all the other guests are kind of just in there like, why are we even here? Like, that was just so weird. And like, she didn't really have a formal announcement of what the line was. Stick to whatever else you were doing before. Also, she gave an extra large to Angela. Was that shade? Do y'all think that was shade? So a little later, Britt then says to Charles, "How are you, Charles?" or whatever. And Angela then says, "Ladies, by the way, Charles doesn't have a side baby." And Britt says, "And I'm not one of Charles's whores either." So Charles is quick to be like, "I don't mess with whores," and that's not like something to joke about. But Angela says that her and Britt are good, so I guess that's okay. Drew, though, she then says that she's glad that Britt invited her, even though they haven't seen eye to eye, so maybe they should have a conversation on another day. Now, when did these two have an issue? I mean, I do remember they had an issue, but they made up. So what is Drew talking about now? Like, what did we miss? So Kelli then interjects and she says to Drew, "I think y'all should have a conversation, and you should tell the truth when you're having that conversation." Now, we all know Drew's a liar, okay? Shamea even called her Drewnocchio. So the reason why Shamea is mad at Drew is because apparently there was a conversation at Angela's house that they did film, but we didn't get to see the scene. But they do make flashbacks, which I hate when they do that because it's kind of confusing to follow. But basically what happened was Angela had some party and Drew was there. And at this party, Drew called Shamea a lapdog of Porsha's. And the reason why she said that was because Angela told Drew that Shamea had told Porsha that Drew said that she was going to be paying for PJ's college. So anyway, that's why she's mad. So now here, Drew is saying to Shamea, I did call you a lapdog. I do own it, but I was just hurt. But Shamea doesn't really want to hear it. She goes off. She says, I'm not going to sit here and, hear you talking about you own calling me a dog. And Shamea was doing the most. She starts to bark. She says, I'm not listening. Woof, woof. Kiss my mother effing ass, bitch. Like, Shamea was mad. But, just to end this event, I'm sorry, but this might be the worst group event of the season, of the show, of the franchise. Major fail. Okay, in the next scene, Drew goes to this fancy office because she's going to sign as an artist. She has a record deal, which is great for her, but she wants to call Dennis first. Now, who the hell calls somebody over some drama at the office the day that you're going to sign your contract for a record deal? Crazy. But the reason why she's calling him was because this is another conversation that was had at Angela's house that we didn't get to see, that they didn't fully show. So Angela told Drew that Porsha told her that Dennis told Porsha that Drew tried to make a pass on him. Oh, that is so confusing even to say, but I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to say. So Drew is now calling Dennis to clarify, did he really say this to Porsha? And Dennis says that it's not true, even though he did sort of say that on camera. Does he not remember that he said that? But he says, no, I didn't say that. So Drew calms down, and then she signs, which is good. I don't like Drew at all, and I will not be listening to her Disney Channel music, but that doesn't mean I can't be happy for her. And speaking of happy, I gotta talk about this next thing, because this made me happy. So Porsha pulls up to a parking lot, and she knocks at someone's door, and yup, it's the one and only, the Southern Belle, the attorney, the mortician, the holistic doctor, Phaedra Parks. She is back where she belongs. I was so glad, you guys. So they show the last time we saw Phaedra on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and which we all know what that was. But then they did this super cool flashback edit type of thing where they showed like her most iconic moments throughout the show, because remember, she was on the show for 7 years, so they were showing all those amazing iconic scenes from the very beginning all the way till the end, and she's giving an update. And by the way, they included a flashback of her and Nene. I gotta point that out. And you know what? Phaedra actually references the scandal of her last season, of season 9, the whole dungeon of it all, we should say. And she says that she regrets it, but he who is without sin cast the first stone. I know that's right. Let know, Phaedra. It was great to see freaking Frack back together. I love the fun between them. It's just organic. It's fun. It's just amazing. And they're talking about the group, and Phaedra says that she loves how small Kelli is. She says Kelli is like a little garden gnome, and she's saying to Porsha, I love little people. I want to pick them up and take them with me home and put them in my basement. This is why I love Phaedra, because who else does something like this? And Porsha's just kind of going off the list, down the list of who is in the group. So she mentions Britt, Eady, and Phaedra says that, Britt's been known around the city, around the state, perhaps. And she says that Britt has more bodies than Willie Watkins. Shade. Surprisingly, Phaedra says that she's cool with Shamea. Now with Drew, she doesn't really know Drew, but I could tell that she's not a fan. She called her Drewzilla. She also threw some shade at the Oakleys, I should point out. And then Porsha tells her about the girls' trip to Grenada and that she wants her to go too. So they FaceTime both Kelli and Shamea, and they say, yeah, of course they would love her to be there. And that was the end of the episode. You guys, I'm so happy that Phaedra is back where she belongs. Now, I gotta address this because this is ridiculous. You see, people are so weird. I remember for the past few years, when Phaedra was off the show, I kept seeing everybody on social media talking about, bring back Phaedra. Phaedra needs to come back. Now, all of a sudden that she's back, everybody on social media is like bashing her, like, we won't forget what she did to KANDI. Well, what did she do to KANDI? You guys, that was almost 7 years ago. Please let it go. She paid the price, believe it or not. She did, because she was fired. I see a lot of people try and compare Kenya's situation with Phaedra, and they're like, well, why is Phaedra allowed to come back but Kenya isn't? But then that's where I have to be like, people, please use your brains for a second. Kenya just did her thing this season. Phaedra did her thing 7 freaking years ago. So if we want things to be fair, then technically Kenya would have to be off the show for 7 seasons, and then she would be back. If y'all want to talk about fair, then that would be fair, because that's what happened to Phaedra. So let's try not to repaint the narrative that Phaedra, didn't pay for what she did, because she absolutely did. And to all the Kenya fans that I constantly see every freaking week talk about how much they hate the show because Kenya's not in it anymore, why are y'all still talking about the show? I mean, if y'all don't want to watch, then don't watch. That is so weird to me. And people complaining about the ratings are low. The ratings were low even when Kenya was on the show last season. So get over it, people. Stop bashing Phaedra. I'm happy she's back. But y'all, let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.